And this whole industry, engineering in general, seems to be male dominated. But what are you seeing out there? How do we get more women involved in engineering in the first place? I know there's obviously a problem to be solved with helping women in the industry. But how do you initially kind of point women to go there?
Yeah, there's so many good organizations now that are all focused on getting girls involved in STEM industries from a young age. So, there's a lot of statistics around just the fact that like girls are not introduced to STEM nearly as much as boys are. So then they're just naturally inclined to go the routes that they have been introduced to. So early intervention is part of that. Um, I partner with Auburn, which is the college that I went to, and they have an entire organization just aimed at retaining their female engineering students. And they did, data on the women who are dropping out of engineering classes, and they found that really it was like early the early kind of like the core curriculum that they were dropping out in because they kept thinking, if I can't do this, then I can't continue on to do the engineering classes. So that school has
Like
put
in
in
their
place, right,
second
like
year.
Cal 3 or, organic chemistry and stuff like that. So then that made them feel like, if I can't even pass organic chemistry, how am I ever going to, do chemical transport too? So it was kind of like that problem. So they've put in a lot of intervention methods in those, classes to help those women pass them, basically to give them a confidence boost for later on. And we've actually seen a really good retention of them from those programs. So yeah, it's early intervention, and then it's supporting them when you don't have a lot of people to rely on that are women in those classes. So that, I think the combination of those two things is super helpful. And also just education as to what an engineer can be. I don't think that everybody knows exactly. If you don't, like, aren't born into an engineering family, you may not know like the possibilities of it.
Right.
And there's so many women doing such cool things in the engineering field who are doing it on public platforms now, like on Instagram and LinkedIn, that I think there's so much more insight into what a female engineer could be now than even when I was, in school, which I think will only kind of help the cause for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's definitely some great stuff out there. So, um, I think it was very insightful. It makes me think I have 3 daughters, so I'm like, maybe I need to start introducing them to engineering.